El Clásico once again, a sweep, and you know what a sweep means because you like
Yes,
basketball.
sir.
How did you feel about the game?
Barca in four, but um, nah, it was it's interesting because we've been having conversations on the past videos about the fact that Hansi Flick needs to figure out the reason why Barca keep going down 2-0, and then it reared
Mhm.
its head once again, going down 2-0 early. But once again, I mean, Barca responding the way they have all season to going down in games, showing that they
Mhm.
can come back. I think it was like a 25-minute spell, 4 goals, just completely bulldozed that Madrid defense. And I think overall it was I think indicative a bit of what both teams are looking forward to next season, right? Mbappe has definitely grown into the role that he's found playing that nine. In that nine position, he's gotten a lot better. Vinny's still struggling to have the impact he used to have when you're going games. I think Barca definitely looking at the fact that yeah, next season, it's looking like if we get injuries, to Balde to Kunde, we need to get backups because that's
Yeah.
something that we need to look at. Obviously the Chesney situation as well, giving away the penalty. Maybe he's not, maybe next season we don't go in again with the Chesney at number one. But overall, I think Barca deserved winners. I think
Yeah.
past, the Mbappe second goal, Barca were just all over that Madrid team. To be
Yeah.
honest, it should have been a lot more. I mean, we can talk, I'm sure, about the refs later, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Barcelona attack once again showing why it's the best in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, there's two takeaways that I do take, and I want to get your thoughts on that. So the first
Yeah.
thing that it made me feel a little bit better, believe it or not, as far as what happened in the Champions League, because once the Barca was behind 2-0 once again on that first half, and it's something that I've been saying like pretty much in every time I do a review, I am saying the bad thing about the team is again starting off games, getting scored on the first 5-10 minutes of the
Yeah.
game, and it seems like we're just on repeat every time. But the one thing that I thought that if Barca, it's just once again against this Madrid team who is not even in form, again 2-0, and it's like you know what. Maybe we overhyped the team a little bit. Maybe we're not ready yet. Maybe we are the best team in the world offensively, but we're just not there as far as making a Champions League championship type of team, right? Because if we
Yeah.
can see PSG, like they can pretty much do the same numbers. They can pretty much do what Barca does, but they play defense. And I think if Barca could just get the defense right next year, they definitely can win the Champions League.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely going to be a point of contention going into next season, right? Is how are you going to structure the defense? What is going to be the personnel that come in during the summer to bolster that defense? Because I think the biggest thing that we're kind of looking at, right, is the goalkeeper position and the center back positions. I think Inigo Martinez has done a valiant effort this season. I think there's clearly issues with Araujo coming back. I think Kubarsi has shown that he definitely has world class talent within him. But like any young player, he needs an older, more experienced player, to be next to him, um, as a starting center back. So that's something that you definitely have to look into. Um, but I agree. I think offensively, continue down the same route. Maybe next season, start looking at who potentially can take the throne that Lewandowski has. But as of right now, I agree. I think looking forward is the defense because to think that Madrid are going to be stuck in the same situation next season. Madrid is way too big of a club for that. They're going to get Xavi, and Xavi is going to get back. He's going to um, try to figure out how to make this attack work and get it firing on all cylinders, right? And that's something that you definitely, as a Barca fan, have to look at is next season. El Clásicos aren't going to be, I
Hmm.
don't think, basketball games. They're not going to be back and forth. You score, I score kind of games. I think it's going to go back to being way more of a contested game. And in that case, that's when you need your defense to keep you in the game for as long as possible, so you can get your one opportunity. I mean, that's what some classicals came down to that, right? It's like can my defense keep me in it long enough until one of my attackers has a moment of brilliance?
Yeah.
So I think that's
Yeah.
something to definitely I agree with
Yeah,
that
and
point.
and let's talk a little bit about the referees now because I thought that Real Madrid got really
Mm,
lucky in this game, and
mm,
it's kind of an indictment on Real Madrid as well. It's like, dude, you get the first goal. It should have been a offsides. I guess Kubarsi gets touch on it and tries to control it, so that basically means that Mbappe will be onside, right? But then the second goal. of a foul from Valverde on Lamine Yamal. They don't go look at it, and it's in shambles, right? It's so shambolic the way that this game started, especially for Barca, but as well for the referee. Like, but I think that it was basically a robbery for me, like from as a fan, right? Watching it as a fan, to me, and after that Tchouaméni handball, no handball, then the Fermin Lopez got called. It was so frustrating. It just, to me, it seemed like the referee was in Real Madrid's side. But you, as a neutral, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's something that just can't. I think, especially obviously with what came out after, right? The audio of the VAR, them being, they're basically saying "menos mal," right? Like,
Yeah,
thank
yeah, yeah.
God that we found
Thank
something to
goodness.
justify, right? Like, it's a bit shameless. I think even if you want
So
to, I think you guys were hard done by, and it is difficult to argue that that's not the case, right? I think it doesn't. I mean, we've seen this multiple times as well. Like even if there's a corner, right? Somebody heads it onto somebody's hand, it doesn't matter. That's a penalty, right? They've been calling that all season across all different leagues.
if that's not a
Header,
handball, then what the hell is like?
exactly. And some people are like, oh, it's not in and out, but it's not. If it's not literally right next to you, then it's in an unnatural position. Like as a defender, his arm was out. It should have been a penalty. And then furthermore, then you look at the disallowed goal. The fact that like it wasn't even him that tried to control it. The ball got kicked onto his hand. He then lost possession, one possession. So that's for me, that's a new phase of play.
Yeah,
The ball
it
hit your
is.
thing and you lost possession. So for me, it should have been a new phase of play. I don't see where they got the reasoning for this because it seems like they were trying to do as much as possible to appease Real Madrid. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna put it that way, right? Like it seems like,
yeah.
and even furthermore, I think there was another play in the game that maybe you could potentially look at it as a last man challenge, right? It could
Hmm.
have been a potential red card. Wasn't even looked at. Play
Exactly.
wasn't even stopped. I mean, there's I would say 1 to 2 times you could chalk it up to coincidence. Once you look at 3, 4, 5 times in a game, you have to start thinking what's going on here, right? What is the referee? What is the VAR trying to do in this game?
Yeah, and I don't know if it was trying to help Madrid or trying to keep the La Liga relevant for the last couple of games. I don't know what it
Yeah,
was, but definitely something that was frustrating. So it makes it even more remarkable what Barcelona did, and down the stretch in that first half, it was like I think it was 4 goals in like 21 minutes. And it goes to show you the kind of game and the kind of mindset that this team have. And I'm just hoping that we can take that with us and into next season, because we can be so much better. And to
yeah,
be honest, to me, like if we get the defense right, whether that's Christensen instead of Martinez, I think you mentioned that, and I think I do agree with you. I think Martinez had an amazing season, but I don't expect him to have another as great of a season as he did this season. But maybe he will, maybe he won't. But one thing I do know is that we need size. We need a CB that can be, taller, faster, especially when with the high lines. Sometimes we failed and we just can't get back because we don't have the speed. And a few times I've seen the one good thing about Araujo is he knows how to get back with his speed. So it's not like I'm saying that Araujo should be the guy, but maybe Christensen is the guy. So what are your
yeah.
thoughts? Do you think we can somehow, plug in Christensen next season and kind of pair him up with Kawarshi? That you think that could be a viable option for without having to go into the free market?
Yeah, I mean, shout out Christensen. I he's a real
Yeah,
G, but
former
for
Chelsea
me,
player.
yeah, I got a lot of love for Christensen. I think my only thing is, with the Christensen point is I agree. I think in terms of a profile, he might fit what you're looking for. The only issue, and I would say the same thing with Araujo, right, is what form is he in at the moment? Because Christensen is coming off a decent spell where he hasn't played for consecutive games this season. And Araujo's looking like, again, in terms of the profile, right? Like you said, he has a recovery pace. He's always aggressive. And I would argue, in that stint where Barca weren't doing well, he's one of the few players that constantly was showing up for the team. But
Hmm.
he's in very poor form right now. So there's a lot to see what happens next season, right? Like maybe you start with Araujo, he's not doing it. You see if Christensen is able to, but there's a lot in the air right now in terms of that center back position, right? Do we wait? Do we see if the two players that we have in house are able to pick up the slack, or do we see in the market if there's a solution available? I think that's a
Yeah.
decision that the board is gonna have to make, and that Hansi Flick is gonna obviously have to play his input into that.
Yeah, and again, Lamine Yamal playing like the best player in the world. He was unstoppable against Real Madrid once again. What a golazo on that second
Yep.
goal. He in clutch time again. So whenever Barca really needs him in big moments, once again, Lamine Yamal, and he should have had 2 assists. Like I don't know how Rafinha
On
misses
the
those
plate,
sitters.
on the plate.
Oh my goodness! Like the way he puts that three Bella, and the one thing I don't know if you've noticed this, but one of the reasons why I think Lamine Yamal is kind of unstoppable is because if you give him space because you think he might dribble you, he'll trivela and he'll put an amazing pass to Rafinha, whether that's the far post. He likes doing that far post all the time. And then if he gets the defenders are pressing, then he dribbles, and you can't match his speed. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Am I analyzing it right, or do you see it a little bit different? But when I see him, is it one of the reasons why I feel like he's not being stopped right now? It's just because when players are pressing him, he dribbles. When people are giving him space, he'll trivela, and that's kind of one of the things I saw that they were doing in the Real Madrid game.
Yeah, I think for me, it's one of the most deadly things because you assume right he's on the right hand side, he's left footed, he's not going to be able to thread the pass to Rafinha, whoever is running into the box. That's not the case.
Hmm.
He's able to do that every time with his foot. It's very dangerous. So if you try to give him the space to run at the goal, he might pull the Trivela pass out. Right. If you try to close him down, he has the ability to the technical control and the ability to do a little move, do a little shimmy, and get by you, and then be through one on one, pretty much on goal. It's very difficult conundrum as a defender. And as far as I've seen, there's been no defender that's been able to stop him this season. If you tried to show him to his left, he'll take that shot every day of the week. He'll take that shot, and that's why
Yeah.
everybody says right as soon as he gets his finishing down, he's gonna be the best player for years to come. Because if you show him to his left, you give him that shot, and he gets that shot down. He practices this summer at getting better at finishing,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and then it's okay. I'm gonna try to cut off his left. I'm gonna try to show him down to the byline. He'll dribble you all the way down to the byline. He will literally take it to the last centimeter possible to try to find any amount of space to get that ball across the face of goal. Um, and he's the best in the world at that. I don't know, obviously what ceiling this kid has. It seems like the sky's the limit, but I don't see, and this is my point is, it's one of those things where you see players like Neymar, like Hazard, like even Ronaldo when he was at United, right? Like you can throw as many defensive schemes as you want at them, but they're going to find a way. They're going to find a solution, and that's one of the
Yeah.
positives I think Barca has going into the future is that they're always going to be able to rely on the creativity, the explosiveness, the threat of Lamine Yamal down whatever side he's playing at. And there's
Yeah.
been no defense gonna be able to because like you're gonna like the best you can hope for is to just keep him quiet and catch him on an off day. But
Yeah.
if he really wants to, I mean, you saw what he did with Inter, right? But went down both games, and he was the one who turned up for the team. I
Yep.
mean, I don't
Crazy.
see where you stop this kid, man.
Yeah, and as far as like Real Madrid point of view, so what I would be really discouraged if I'm a Madrid fan, like it's like okay, the first game, they try to play blow for blow, and Barca put 4 goals, right? So the second game, they tried to do the same. They thought maybe that was just an anomaly or whatever. They tried to do that in the Super Cup, and it was 5-2. At
If it
some
wasn't,
point,
and if it wasn't for that red card, it might have been worse. It might have been a historic embarrassment.
exactly, exactly, and that's the thing. And then and that second one, they started when they started with Madrid was winning 1-0 that game when Mbappe scored,
Yeah,
and this the third one. They tried to play a lot of defense, and the Copa del Rey kind of worked in the second half. They were 2-0, 2-1, and I thought it was they actually the remontada on Barca at that moment. It was like the 73 minute or something like that.
yeah.
Barca came back and actually won the game in overtime. And then this last one, they were winning the game 2-0. And Barca came in as an avalanche. They couldn't stop it. They couldn't even touch the ball for like 21 minutes. I don't know what the time was, but it was like 20 or 21 minutes. They couldn't touch it. Like Barca was just on another level. And the fact that they got swept. I've been watching Barca. Like I haven't been creating content for a long time. But I have been watching Barca and Real Madrid for a long time, like for as long as I can remember. We never got swept. I mean, we got beat last year 3 times, and that was weird. Like three games. I think that was the first time I could remember that one team won. Even when Barca was really bad, we were still beating Real Madrid when Real Madrid
Yeah.
was number one. And the
Mhm.
fact that they lost this game, it's just really, I would say humiliating in my opinion. If I'm a Madrid fan, I would say like it's a little humiliating that we were not even close to beating Barca, and we were ahead, made 3 out of the 4 times.
I think there's a lot of Madrid fans that are trying to say, oh, but this or but that, and trying to downplay it. And I mean, as much as you want to say like, oh, but we beat them as well in the past, or whatever you want to say, like the fact of the matter is, not only did they beat you, the fact that they beat you has allowed them to collect 3 trophies, and there's
Yeah,
no other way to say it. They won
yeah.
3 trophies through those games, and that is the worst thing possible, to lose to your direct rival.
It's like
I mean,
perfect storm.
I'm gonna tell you, like it's one of those things where, and I've always said this, like Arsenal can say whatever they want about where they are compared to Chelsea, but they still have not gotten their lick back for what we did at Baku in the what Hazard did when we won the
Hmm.
Europa over them.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Madrid. I think Madrid fans are going to try to cope, right? They're going to try to say, "Oh, we're going to be back, this or that," but nothing's going to change the fact that this 17-year-old kid pretty much destroyed you for an entire season and adopted every single one of your defenders. Like, there's just
Yeah.
nothing to say about that. And
Yeah, and there's one thing I want to ask you before we move on. This will be the last thing
yeah,
I'll say. Is Mbappe is closing out the year with 40 goals and 5 assists. So I think he dominated Barca, and he's the only one that can say positive things about facing Barcelona. And I've seen a lot of Real Madrid fans, a lot of big channels, right? And talking
yeah,
about there's one channel I can say he in Spanish. His name is Iñaki Angulo. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's like a big Spanish content creator for Real
yeah.
Madrid, and he made a video saying that Mbappe was a scam. And I thought there's a certain fan base with Real Madrid that is really negative towards Mbappe. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I feel like yes, Mbappe comes into a team that won the UCL, that won the La Liga, but at the end of the day, I feel like this would have been a historic, humiliation this year without Mbappe. And the fact that he's still closing in with 40 goals, 5 assists to right now, and I think he will win the Pichichi because Lewandowski,
Yeah, he's
he's
out of it. Yeah.
barely, yeah, he's not healthy, so he might win the Pichichi. So at the end of the day, did you think that Madrid failed Mbappe, or do you think Mbappe is failing Madrid?
I think at the beginning of the season, you could definitely make the argument that Mbappe is failing as well. I think obviously you look back to the Liverpool game, failed the penalty. You look back to the Clásico game, how many times? I think it was like the record 9 times offside for one player. There was definitely some blame he could take early in the season, but once his form started improving, he started scoring. He can't be blamed. I mean, how many Clásicos did he celebrate that he ended up losing? It's one of those things where you can't blame him for not showing up. I would say the second half of the season, he's been immense. He's been the Mbappe that I think everybody expected him to be at the beginning of the season. And that's why I said I think as a Madrid fan, one of the things you could look forward to going into next season is you expect Mbappe to continue this level of form. You expect Mbappe to to keep growing in this position as a 9. Now the question is, right, what do we do around him, right? Because we need to get more creativity into him. We need to fix the swinger situation. We need to fix something in the midfield to make sure that Mbappe is. And I mean, one of the things that was spoken about even when the World Cup happened, is Mbappe saying like, "Listen, I could make all these crazy runs because I knew that Pogba would find me. Right? I was making all these crazy runs because I knew I
Yeah,
had Neymar and Messi to find me."
yeah,
Now the issue is, right, who in this Madrid team is finding those
dude.
runs? They're
I
not,
feel
bro.
like
They're not.
I feel like Mbappe. No kidding. I feel like Mbappe could score 60 plus goals for Barca right now, like right now.
He could break records for sure. I'm not gonna lie.
Because Rafinha misses a lot of chances. He scores a lot of goals, but he does miss a lot. And I feel like if we had Mbappe, I mean, I feel like he would score a lot of goals. Like he would just definitely